the seed in our homeland, boys. Let it grow where all can see. Feed it with our devotion, boys. Call it the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Save it from the storm, boys. Water down its roots with tea. And the sun will always shine on the old Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. March along with the piper, boys. We were born forever free. Let's go pay the piper, boys, beneath the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Pay the price they're asking, boys. Always pay the tyrant's fee. Never give up the struggle, boys. Fight for the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Stand for the rights of man, boys. Stand against all tyranny. Hang the lance of freedom, boys, high on the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. It will grow as we grow, boys. It will be as strong as we. We must cling to our faith, boys, faith in the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty.
We all need to prepare ourselves. You might have the food, water, gold, and silver, but ask yourself, are you truly prepared? That's why you need to visit MaineMilitary.com. MaineMilitary.com carries everything you need. Gas masks, fire starter kits, high-capacity magazines, chemical suits, military surplus items, and much more. Do you own a firearm? MaineMilitary.com has a large selection of pistols and rifles suited for your needs. Are your local stores sold out of ammunition? Call or visit them today for prices on hard-to-find ammo and bulk ammo orders. You don't need to worry about having a military surplus store in your area because MaineMilitary.com is the only store you'll ever need, all from the comfort of your computer. Visit them online today at MaineMilitary.com. That's Maine, like the state, military.com.
Liberty's Guardian, Guns and Ammunition, a family-owned business located in the heart of Ohio's hunting country. Let us help you find the right shotgun or rifle for you. Or if you're looking for a pistol or concealed carry, we have a nice selection of compact and subcompact pistols for that too. Check out our website at www.libertiesguardian.com. That website again is www.libertiesguardian.com. Go to the website and check out our selection today.
Join Mark and Don for Weapons Wednesday, where you'll learn how to use everything from your bare hands to your average AR-15.
The 12-gauge autoloader.
Sure.
The 45 long slide.
Yep.
With laser sighting.
You betcha.
The Uzi 9mm.
Yes, sir.
Phased plasma rifle in a 40-watt range.
What are you, crazy?
Wrong.
Okay. They'll talk about that too. So whatever question you have about whatever weapon you have, call Mark and Don on Weapons Wednesday. And remember, your mind is your first best weapon.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we'd hoped you'd always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun. permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm and keep our country deep in debt, put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn, and your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand, defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you, and God bless this republic.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Evening Intelligence Report. I'm Mark Kernke. One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories, southwest, east, northeast, and south. Ladies and gentlemen, you were listening to us on Libertytreeradio.4mg.com, AM and FM micro stations, AM and FM conventional stations, CB base stations, and Ultra Net, Hallmark, and Golden Spike Technologies east and west of the Mississippi, along with Alaska. Good afternoon and evening to all our friends out there in the lower 49, including the great state of Jefferson, along with CONUS, the outlying two states, territories, and the clock. 8:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today's date, well, it's Communications Tuesday. It is the 28th of July. It is the 12th year of open Fabian Socialist and Soviet Socialist occupation of America with a K. 2020, Old Earth Calendar. 2020, Dance of Swords. Conflict has begun. And the bad guys are in motion across the board. A couple things here real quick. Number one, again, we've got a video. If you can, take the time, share this wherever you can. Sean Anderson was shot in the head multiple times in an altercation, an action in his backyard. Basically, we were meeting with other patriots at a location. He left the site. There was conflict that escalated. The cops shot him multiple times in the head. He was in the hospital. They've taken him out. This is unheard of as far as I'm concerned. We're talking multiple strikes to the head, probable multiple fracture/concussions. He was hit more than once. Left eye is blinded. The bullet did not pass from front to the back, but from the side. You actually can see the damage in the photographs that are available, and there are photographs. Of course, he's had progressive issues that are taking place. Needless to say, pain meds are kind of handy. Well, it turns out that the cops are doing everything they can to torture him while in lockup. I've warned about this many times. To find out more, to get up to speed real quick on Sean Anderson, Sandy Anderson updates us on her husband, shot multiple times by quote-unquote peace officers. This is exclusive. This is over at YouTube. And again, for everybody listening, you can go over, pick this up, and then share it. I did through all of the different social media during the 1 hour block. Actually, it won't take a few minutes. And every place where I have any kind of connect or link in social media, it's out there. The only thing I don't do is I don't do twit. I mean, Twittar. But everything else, any place else, posted. The video is over on YouTube. It is on the North Idaho Exposed channel. That's North Idaho Exposed. That's North Idaho Exposed. That's the channel. And the title of the video is Exclusive. Sandy Anderson updates us on her husband, shot, S-H-O-T, short, slap mark in the microphone, shot multiple times by peace officers. Again, exclusive. Sandy Anderson updates us on her husband, shot multiple times by peace officers. The video is posted as of today, the 28th, and if you can, share it to every social media mechanism out there. Point it in every direction you possibly can, ASAP, right now. So take the time, plug it in. And that is, again, exclusive. Sandy Anderson updates us on her husband, shot multiple times by peace officers. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share wherever you can. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do this one more time. What the hell, I can do it. I own all those little places, don't I? My name's on them. So if I want to repost everything again, I can do it just like I did this quickly right now while we're talking. I actually am reposting in all the social media. And Pinterest is done, and Dig Dug, Blogger, Reddit, Mix. Let's see, one more with Pinterest. I think I got another one there. There we go. And then, the one I haven't done is, what is it, Brightbit? Whatever the hell it is. I actually have an account. I just haven't worked it yet. I haven't built anything up into it. But LinkedIn, Tumblr. Okay, hold on. What else we got? There we go. Got that one too. VK. So that should be cool. And I can clear that all. So if I can do it that quickly, you can too. So take the time, plug in, share to whatever social media you can as quickly as we can. Okay? And we'll give you updates as we go, as we get more information. But that is about as precise, 17 minutes long, as you're going to get with regard to first-person information on what's happening. Okay? Let's see if we have Larry there yet. Do we have Larry? Just want to make sure. I don't want to leave Larry out. Okay, very good. Looking for AR-15s? No, this is not cheap. But this would be my preferred AR-15 if I actually was going to go out and buy one right now. And of all places where everything else is sold out, Atlantic Firearms, AtlanticFirearms.com, AtlanticFirearms.com. Go over to AtlanticFirearms.com. When you get there, go into the AR-15s, Windham Weaponry. They have a 20-inch Let me double check, see if that's an A. I don't think it's an H bar, but it is a standard barrel. And I'm going to find out right now here. I got all the specs. A2, it's an A2 system, 1 and 7 twist, right hand obviously. 4150 chromoly barrel, A2 profile, chrome lined with A2 flash hider, flash suppressor, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's a basic A2 rifle across the board for $900. No, it's not $899 and no cents. I'm just going to say $900. But if I'm going to spend that kind of money on an AR right now, I'd get the 20-inch barrel. Why? I'm getting more gun for the money. It's going to do more for me. I don't plan on getting close. If I do get close, I'll have some other belly gun when the time comes, stripped off my enemy. But especially in the early phases, accuracy and range, you want to be able to put a bullet on target. You don't spray and pray. You put one bullet on target. They try to get back up. Put another one on them. But you don't dump a magazine on them. And the idea behind it is reach as far out with as much energy as you can. Okay? So they do have the Windham Weaponry AR-15 government rifle. This is a 20-inch, basically A2 system across the board. It does have an A3 flat top with a detachable carry handle, which is, of course, where the rear sight system is. A-frame front. Basic rifle, exactly what I want. I wouldn't add anything to it. I'm not even going to throw any other. If I do throw optics, I'll put them on the carry handle. Or, well, hell, I got a ton of the night vision. It'll go right on the Picatinny rail on the top of the A3 type receiver anyway. So that works out pretty well for us. There are many, many other items that they do have, but on firearms, not so much. In fact, pretty much everything is sold out. And $700, $800, $900 looks like they're pretty well down for the count as far as ARs go. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. They did get one back in. This is out when I was checking an hour and a half ago. As a matter of fact, because I plugged into this during the program, Fed Arm AR-15 rifle, 300 blackout M-lock system. Now, this is a flat top, flat front sight, $590. So you want a 223 and, well, no, forgive me, slap me in the microphone. A 300 blackout. Unfortunately, ammunition is not going to be as readily available. Everybody's got a 300 blackout, has come in and swept the stuff up clean, but that is an AR-15 and 300 blackout, and it is available. So there are two of the AR-type rifles that they definitely have in stock. It's a mix, and of course they're coming and going, probably picking them up, like I said, down the street, not too far away, and they're going back out, and as they are able to replace, they're replacing them with what they can find. So there is, again, go through, see what you can find there that is on hand, 600, 900, 800. Like I said, you can buy two SKSs for the price of one. The big thing is AR-15 ammunition right now has become a problem across the board for 5.56. It's not that it isn't out there. It's a matter of how much you're going to pay for it. It's the cost. That's where the big bite is right now. So everybody out there needs to, be reminded of that. How can we get more people armed for less money? 7.62x39 is the solution. Pretty much run their line out on the AKs. There are a few here and there, but SKS is going to be your best solution with a 7.62x39 for the best price. So I just wanted to follow up on that. Atlantic Firearms, you're going to have to go through. Yeah, you're going to get frustrated with the page because they don't really tell you whether or not it's out of stock until you actually go to the item. And a lot of them, it's like, well, I go there, there's a picture, I go there, it doesn't say anything. Oh, it's out of stock. No, it's out of stock. It's out of stock. It's out of stock. It's pretty old after a while. So they should have a banner or something. You don't really need to go through their entire inventory for the sake of looking at pretty pictures if the rifle just simply isn't there. Save me time, okay, which is one of the problems everybody's going to be complaining about. I know some of you already sent me some emails. Hey, they got a great, pretty site, but it takes forever to go through to find out they don't have anything. I know. And again, in the main battle rifles, those were pretty well consumed first and picked up, and I don't think there's any PTRs available. The FNFALs, I think, are also pretty much gone. There were a few. And there may be some AR-10s left in inventory, maybe. If you, again, go through and see what you can find. On the FALs, even the $1,500, $1,600 guns are gone. But if you like the rifle, it makes sense. They are a good weapon. I have a quantity. I've even got a lot of them. They're in the American, which, they call it the Israeli configuration. It's not the Israeli configuration. It's actually all the American dies and everything that was made we gave to the kosher mafia, as we always do. We let them rip us off left, right, up and down. But, yeah, we have several of those, actually, with the heavier bipod, too, by the way. All the PTR 91s are PTR receivers. Somebody's asking, well, are these other knockoffs? No. If you read, it'll tell you. If they're PTR, they're identified as PTR rifles, okay? It's just that simple, so you got to go to their page. But I do not believe they have anything left in stock. I'm sorry. It's just the nature of the beast right now. So not a surprise, nothing that I'm going to be panicked about or anything, because, we expected this, okay? Also, in light of what we've been seeing with especially with state by state. Now, I've been reading last night. It was up all night, actually, going through all of the, what do you want to call it? I mean, it literally is voter fraud. I mean, the level of voter fraud already established and in place has negated the election. It's done. There is no possible way that you're going to get an honest election or any kind of honest results out of what's coming in November. It's done. It's cooked. There are so many perversions and ways that like double and triple voting can take place. Michigan is one of them, to the point where it makes no sense to even think about the election being anything other than the benchmark for whatever shipwreck is going to start here. If it takes that long, it would be amazing. But I would remind everybody again that the program that the enemy is plugging in, they are continuing to keep the pressure up. They're stirring the pot with a bunch of folderol out of Portland Grad, Oregon, where Portland Grad is a fight between the feds protecting the federal building, which would be expected no matter where it is. No matter where it was, they would be throwing personnel there on site for a federal courthouse, federal facility, whatever. That's expected. Making it sound like we're all at risk because, well, yeah, we're always at risk. The feds are always trying to figure out how to plug in a bigger police state. But it's the bought and paid for Soros types on the street that the controlled press are reporting in a misreporting or disingenuously reporting the process to stir the pot. And oh my goodness, we all need to join the communists. This is what they're trying to do, trying to tell you that you need to choose between the government, and of course we all know government's a shill. But the cops, the feds, of course, have put the American patriot on the top of the quote-unquote terrorist list. So this is the same regime that we're supposed to jump in and protect? No, not going to. But I don't need to. I think those are yours. Anyway, the situation, the way it is that, well, they're also trying to play the commie card where you're supposed to go support the communists in their activities because, after all, the feds are beating down on the communists. Well, here's what's going to happen. First of all, this is a shallow effort on one side, the Fed, shallow, very shallow, and an obvious scam / sham, and they figure we're all stupid enough we're going to play into this. Oh, we're going to go help the commies because they're getting beat up by the feds. Well, I've told you a million times about communist Russia. Communist Russia could not have taken place were it not for the manipulation of the idiot sticks who thought that they were or declared themselves moderates. The communists that you're facing right now have all been coached under the logic that they're going to get this all to happen the exact same way here in the United States, that we're going to go, oh yeah, the communists would say they kill us, but the feds, we don't like the feds because they don't like the feds. No, this is how it works. Given the opportunity, as I've said many times, the communists have already told you that they are going to order the police state to come after your guns, to take your children, to beat you down because, after all, you're an evil hetero white person. You're a misogynist, or is that a misogynist? Are you a misogynist? Do you have a massage parlor or something? No, misogynist, man, misogynist. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? Well, anyway, fact of the matter is that we evil, unclean, rural hicks don't have a clue about how communism came about. Communism came about because of the moderates. Communism could not take power with just the communists pushing the agenda. The idiot sticks the same kind of play that the Fed, the communists in the government, and Soros's communists on the street working with government are trying to play. They think they're going to play the patriot movement. Now, they've also gotten to the point where they're bleeding like goats. Well, they're grabbing us. Why aren't you coming out with your guns? Well, because I'm an evil, white, heterosexual male, and you told me that you hated me, you want me dead, you wish you could kill my family, you would like to destroy my country, and especially the Bill of Rights. So it's like, piss off. Now, let's make no mistake about it. What you have in Portland is the Uruk-hai. Think about the Fed as the Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings, Saruman's orcs. And you've got the other orcs from, that's right, Mordor. Remember how they were fighting amongst themselves? However, the moment that they would see a human, all arguments were off. Consider that all they're waiting to do is, once they're done playing this, and when they can set things up so they can get into your camp, why? Then you're going to feel this sharp pain between your shoulder blades, but you're not supposed to figure out that this is what's going to happen. You're all a bunch of dunderheads/rubes from the rural area. And so they've been told and coached how they can play you. Well, we're not being played, and we're looking straight at the problem. And I understand exactly what kind of game is going on here. Both sides aren't our sides. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Okay? Neither one. So whichever batch of the orcs went out as far as the management end, and either way, the commies get their way, the police state gets its way, because they all have the same goal. Eventually, they're going to turn their bloodshot red Fed eyes, or their bloodshot red street punk commie, street thug eyes, towards us again. But it will probably be together. They have to have rankers, they have to have sandbags, they have to have pikers. They've got to have rank and file, people. And to get the mass they need, the commies that you see out there now will be given jobs and little pocket pistols to blow your brains out with, and all of the MO that we saw with the second phase and the official kickoff of the Bolshevik Revolution is what they plan on doing here in America with their new Bolshevik Revolution. But you're supposed to be stupid about that. We're not, okay? So whenever you see any of that, don't even get in any dialogue. Don't discuss, other than piss off, eat feces, and die. Or explain it the way I did. Hey, the feds, they want us dead. They've already stated they hate super patriots, they hate constitutionalists, they hate people who believe in the Bill of Rights. They want to arrest and put in detention camp all of us. And then in the same breath, the commies they want to tell the feds to do the exact same thing. They want to get rid of the police. They just want a bigger national secret police. That's what it's all about. A bigger version of Homeland Security KGB. Let's just call it KGB. Dump the Homeland Security garbage. That'll all be out of the way. And you know what? The ones working there won't have any problem working for the communists at all. Just little heads up there. So anyway, we are almost to the bottom of the hour, and for everybody out there, I will remind you we are on YouTube. I believe it's running quite nicely. As a matter of fact, tonight, everything's gone well. I would recommend that if you can, go over to Libertytreeradio on YouTube. Again, that's Libertytreeradio on YouTube. If you get over to YouTube, it's real easy, actually. Just get over to YouTube, When you get there, where it's search, go to Libertytreeradio. That's just all one word, small case, Libertytreeradio. And when you get to Libertytreeradio, look at the top right there below the sunset picture. There it says Libertytreeradio. Oh, look right below that, Libertytreeradio live stream. And for all of you out there, if you could, take the time, plug in. All I have to do is tap that. Radio. There we go. And in fact, I'm hearing myself there. I just shut that off. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share right now, even as we speak. For instance, put it over on Facebook or over on Pinterest or over on DigDug or over on, well, wherever you want to. And it will be picked up. And again, for you guys that are on a cell phone, this is a quick, easy solution to be able to plug in. Also, again, for the archives, you go to Libertytreeradio YouTube, plug into the archives there. They're going to be in the scroll from this point forward with posted videos. And everything that we've done on the air that's live will be right there in the archive. So you can share that with other people, just like I am doing right now as we speak. And that is Libertytreeradio on YouTube. Then when you do get there, look right at the top. You'll see the live stream. And then eventually there'll also be a progressive list of, and it's already on the page, but there, it pops up as a priority once we get past the live programming. And the whole scroll for all of the archives are sitting right there at your fingertips. Very, very quick to use, very user-friendly. So do take the time and take advantage of them. And take advantage of the YouTube feed for as long as it lasts until they kick us off, or they burn it down, or whatever they choose to do. We don't have a problem with that, okay? We'll run it till it doesn't make it any farther. Now, another video. As long as we're over there, of course, there is American Peril, but if you go to YouTube, you punch in Mark Cornke - Hillsdale College Session 1, numeral 1. Mark Cornke - Hillsdale College Session 1. This was at Hillsdale College, Hillsdale, Michigan. And it was, I think I went a total of 6, going on 8 hours there, depending on how you count it, because there was a little block. There was a third block in between. But this was done in the main conference hall / theater at Hillsdale College. And, well, of course, you've got Janet, the Butch Reno, as the icon, as the still frame picture for the benchmark for that. But get over that one, ignore Janet Reno. And if you plug that in, again, a good one to share. A lot of what we're talking about, well, actually a lot of what we're seeing now is covered there, as it is in American Peril. So when you can show that to people and say, see, we told you so, we told you so, and we told you so, okay? It's just that simple. And deal with the problem, and then get on with showing other people, plug more people in. Another thing real quick, and I'm not going to waste much time talking about it, except we're going to keep reinforcing it, is dump all of the commercial sports. Maybe the hockey. We'll see what happens with hockey. It's not up yet. Piss on basketball. That's a waste of time. Baseball, they're all busy groveling now, so throw them out. And, of course, the Fiocchi / Dr. Kevorkian is doing the Burns thing with the fingers in the audience, so you all know he's a fool. You know, he needs to be done away with. And the football is the same trash, different day. Now, a bunch of the other sidebar sports, like the women's sports, are all reflecting the same trash. They're walking out, or they're all pissed off and getting pissy. Well, dump them. Time to shut them off. They're not essential. In fact, look at it this way. We are headed towards November. November is the shipwreck. Period. You can see the rocks. You know, how many of you are familiar with the classic stories, especially of old, from the 1800s, the age of sail, where ships are caught in the maelstrom of a storm, and they're close to the rocks, and they're close to the shoals, and they're right off the shore, and they keep fighting and, tacking, try and get back out, and it keeps getting shorter. The tack gets shorter and shorter as they turn, but the wind keeps pressing them to the rocks, and eventually, they can see where they're going. And there is no doubt about what is going to happen. They're just buying time, keep everybody above water and dry as long as they can. Well, relatively dry or in a storm. But that's what we're in right now with the situation with the election. It's done. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's no way they can try to claim a legitimate election with what's coming up. And with all the different ways that they've handed out ballots, they'll lie, cheat, steal across the board, and it is going to be nothing but a meaningless circle jerk. So save your money on the sports, save your money on the BS with the election, focus on locals. If you're going to do anything, try to focus on the locals. And beyond that, you're not going to see anything positive come out of this other than it will be the benchmark date for whatever, okay? Because at some point the pot's going to start to really boil, and then it's going to boil over. Before that happens, you have time, though. You see the rocks. We know where the shoal is. We've already, we're actually still moving to, stay above water. But at some point, you're going to take the plunge. You're going to, hit the splash. So be prepared for that. Get everything done you can. Every day, pick something and do it. Don't spend the money on the sports. Don't spend the money on any of the other nonsense like that. Throw it all out. Throw that garbage all out of your mind. Sell the stuff that you can get rid of to whatever, Dingleberry is foolish enough to buy it. If it's sports-related and stuff you can make some money on, turn that into other resources. I think I heard a voice. Who do we have?
Mike. I want to mention a painting. I believe the original is in the Chicago Art Institute. The painting is called The Gulf Stream. It's very famous. It's like a Jamaican slave or Bahamian on a small skiff, and in a big storm in the Gulf, the sail's already gone, and the sharks are circling the boat halfway out of the water, and a very important painting. But
over the guy's shoulder is a ship.
Yeah, well, it's not a ship. It's actually probably, I give it about a 20-foot sailboat, real tiny. And it is no more sail or nothing. It looks like it's halfway in the water, and he's laying on the deck with his shorts just all tattered, no shirt, and you see the sharks circling the boat. But that's what I envision with what you're talking about.
Right, except that, again, we have the ability to actually prepare for. We're not going to get caught flat-footed in this case. And the idea is that once she hits the rocks, the idea is to hit the shore, get to the shore. There are a myriad examples of total disaster, but there are many examples where people had kept their wits, stayed focused, and worked together. That's where we are. Because the enemy, one way or another, it doesn't make a difference. This thing is bought and paid for. It's done. It's cooked, and everything else is designed to spin your wheels to keep you busy until we hit the rocks. We can't afford that. You cannot afford to be caught flat-footed. You have plenty of time to accomplish something. Today, I got a certain number of items tactically painted. Always there's little things, but everything builds up. Tools, I was going through tools today, dividing the tools up between the different tactical vehicles. I want to redivide the stuff that I picked up that's new, in addition to the stuff I picked up from a estate sale, enough that everything has got a very, very nice grade A tool kit, in addition to all the other preparedness, items that need to be on board, and the radio equipment needs to be in place. And the next thing I'm working on is armor on standby or armor in place, depending upon the vehicle. And that's something all of you can do. There's all kinds of ways we've talked about in the last several weeks here about ways to armor up vehicles without actually doing much of anything. You go out, pick up a few certain items. All you have to do is, you can even duct tape them into place. That's what's really comical. It's like some of the things we talked about. If you had to, you could use duct tape. All you need is the junk to be between you and whatever's coming in. And if you have to, it's a quick fix, but it'll work. And there's all kinds of materials out there you can turn to, and manufacture items you can turn to fabricate an impromptu armor belt for the vehicle, for at least the crew compartment, for where you are. So something to think about there. The election thing itself, the nail in the coffin here is all the forms that they mailed out which will obviously muddy the water right away. So Michigan's goose is cooked. Maybe at the local level, again, that's where you pick up a phone, and once you pick up a phone and you send numbers downrange, they'll start lying about them. We've seen this over and over again. There's an excellent movie called Vote Scam, which was done by a couple of young men who were, in college back in the 90s. Vote Scam. See if you can find it. I have a couple copies here. We need to actually post it on YouTube and social media. But where they were right there at hand, and they couldn't change the numbers for the mayor and all the other stuff, they had to acknowledge that no matter what, it was a fair election. But where they called the numbers into the Democrat and Republican-controlled counting system or privately owned counting system from the third party of politicos, immediately the numbers altered. And when the numbers were passed up the feeding chain, they were altered yet again. So that's exactly what we're going to see here, only worse because of some of the stuff that they've done. Each state is progressively in more tatters than others. There are different. The East Coast is screwed. Pennsylvania is screwed. Michigan is screwed. And I'm not a negative person, but I'm just looking at the way they've done this. We've always questioned and had challenge to the vote process because we've asked people who counts the votes. Nobody can answer you. When you ask the average person, nobody can answer you. But we now know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and we understand how the game's being played, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And it's obvious with all of the additional heretofore actions they've never taken, that the vote's done. That's cooked. The ballot box is out the window. We'll use it locally. Can't count on it for anything nationally, and sure as hell not at the state level. So, again, like we said, a lot of work to do there. We'll be having other elections. We will have there'll be an interim government, then there'll be progressively a new American government that would be negating the parasites that we presently have in Washington. That's a given. Everybody already knows we need to have the structure in place. We've talked about currency, another thing that needs to be done. You guys are all part of that. If you want to see it happen, we're going to be investing in it. Another thing that I had to point out with somebody is that, we understand the internationalists and how they're manipulating and trying to destroy our economy and, ergo, our Bill of Rights, okay? But we have always been international. Our commerce is always international. All commerce on this planet, to one degree or another, is international. We're not afraid of international trade. What we're going to make sure is that everybody is fairly and reasonably treated. And we aren't talking communist, the communist equity thing. We're talking aggressive market. We're talking where you bargain, you negotiate, but you're working for the best deal. Both sides come up with good trade. That's how it's supposed to be. That's part of the dynamic competition of life. Get over it, get into it, and you're a part of it now because they're coming to kill you. There's no doubt about it. They're coming to kill you. Now, if you decide that you really don't put any value on your life, sit on your dead ass and do nothing. I don't have a problem with that. Just don't come scrabbling to me or grabbing my leg like you see these leftists out west. Why aren't you guys with guns coming to help us? Well, because all of us misogynistic, white, heterosexual, male, evil bastards, blue-eyed demons, the man keeping you down. You don't need us. In fact, you said you wanted to kill us. So there's an example of what I'm talking about, where you've got that kind of mindset where, all of a sudden you got your mammary gland in the ringer. The old term is called you got your tit in the ringer. Remember the old ringer washers? Yeah, if you don't know the story about that, that's why that term, you get the picture. Just imagine it. Bending over the wash tub, and you hit the bar, and you made a mistake, and certain dangly parts get dragged in. That's where the term came from. Yeah, she got her tit in the ringer, or he got his tit in the ringer. Yeah, okay, same thing. So we are in a situation where it's not going to get better. It's simply going to get worse. They keep trying to get us to pick between one of the engineered sides that they control and the other engineered sides they control, and neither of them are us. Neither of them are ours. So like I said, there's two sides. They're both over there, and then there's the rest of us. And there's still a couple more sides out there you better be paying attention to, because there are other factions who are major players in this convoluted competition/conflict is developed. You'd best be ready for that. Now, another thing I will address, okay, well, then we're going to have to fight. Well, I've seen this, many, many, many times with emails, spikes, conversations out and about in the last 2 weeks here. Guys, first of all, I am going to say I told you so. When the ammunition was cheap and you actually had some digits, you all could have been over most of your fears because you'd have what you need. You would already have in hand, and for half the price you're having to pay now. I will say what I've said several times on the air. We'll try to find solutions, but I don't know where to go where it's going to make any clear day-to-day sense with regard to finding ammunition, magazines, and weapons, because it's a flying market, and it's absolutely a seller's market. That's the other reason prices have gone where they are. But again, availability progressively is going down. The Fed is doing everything they can to block or prevent more additional material. They see the writing on the wall. They know what's going on. So they'd rather have the commies, sitting next to them and hugging them than us. Which is why, like I said, be prepared for the flip-flop and don't scream at me about how could they do this. It's real easy. It was already in the script. All of a sudden, Antifa, BLM, kill all the white people, will be hugging and swapping spit with the feds, and they'll be turning their little beady red eyes on you. So we need to be ready before that. Now, another thing real quick integrated into all of this is, well, needless to say communications, but medical right now, too. There are a number of different medical supply houses out there, but one thing I haven't really touched on enough is that there are medical auctions, medical supply auctions. Now, you may not get the primary item, but if you get to any of these auctions, there's stuff that always is left laying around where people don't want to take the stuff with them. They only want the sealed product or whatever. This was true with a lot of the Fed auctions years ago. They don't do them the way they used to. And there would be odds and ends stuff that people would just leave behind. And it's like, well, do you want that? No. Can I take it? Well, and then they'd hesitate because, oh, wait a minute, he wants it. It must be worth something. It's like, well, you're just going to leave it here, right? You're going to throw it away? Yeah. Okay, well, how about if we take it? Just give me a note. And they'd slide it over, throw it in the vehicle or throw it in the trailer for you because they had to be the one handling it. And then you gave him a note so that nobody could say anything on site. And you carried a bunch of really cool things that were odd widgets home. Now, they weren't any use to the guy that got them out of all the things he got with the auction. But for you, it was that item that dotted the I, crossed the T, or filled in the blank, where you had so many items but not enough of that particular unique piece to get the job done. Well, now, because that little deal, you did. The same is true with a lot of these supply house auctions where there's stuff that people want and there's other things they don't, and they don't carry it. If they're going to get a fee for cleanup, they'll leave things behind. We used to see this at the Hamfest in the Dayton O'Hara Arena. I don't know how much of that we see anymore. It's not at Dayton O'Hara. But again, traditionally there's stuff left over at the end of a Hamfest. If it's left out and it's left behind, it's free. And you can run into a lot of really good equipment if you're patient. And, of course, with Dayton one year, I got dozens and dozens of GE radios and also Motorola's. I've got so many GE radios between the small amount that I bought, including test bench equipment, and the stuff that was left behind, that we outfitted an entire militia with General Electric handheld radios, GE radios. Mostly free, and I gave them to the unit because there is no sense in it, being piecemealed all over the place. And now the unit had one consistent handheld radio for the whole of their, say, about a company and a half, maybe two companies, depending upon how they allocated the radios out and how many people were active at any given time. But every person had a radio, and in fact had throat mics and had, earpieces, the whole 9 yards, to go along with these handhelds. So, guys, if you look around, stuff like that will pop in. Medical is the same way. There's stuff that they leave behind that, a lot of people aren't thinking about because they have a particular technical interest. They may not even have an interest in medical, but they have an interest in the material that was at the medical auction. And the other stuff that's medical, they flop to the side and may leave behind. You need to be prepared to grab that, drag it down the road, and take it with you. That means you got to be patient, spend a little time after the auction, but it's worth it. And again, you never know. The money is not out there like it was. A lot of these auctions, ironplanet.com, I've mentioned many, many times, ironplanet.com. Now, the stuff's not going super cheap, but it is going for less than it was with Iron Planet. Now, what is Gov liquidation? Oh, hell, we got stuff for pennies. But www.ironplanet.com, if you're going to look to see what the government's getting rid of right now, ironplanet.com. ironplanet.com. When you get over to ironplanet.com, and you'll get there eventually, once you get there, there are a couple of placards down below. One says government surplus, popular categories. Government surplus, that's the one you want to hit. When you tap the government surplus, it's going to take you to the next, the government surplus page. And then there's a bunch of subsections. Humvees, FMTVs, that's the Stewart trucks, generator sets, field gear, oh, I like that, ammo cans, interesting, medical supplies, could be anything there, sporting goods equipment, not relevant to much, but there are boats, and military trailers, okay? And then everything gets divided up, even though there may be something that's not really directly in those categories. We're going to go to field gear. Now, I just bid on some stuff, and I don't know whether or not it's going to go through. Don't care. If it does, fine. If it doesn't, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to shed an alligator tear for any of this nonsense. But if I get it, I get it. Example, 208 entrenching hand tools, $605 baseline bid, okay? 4 portable military field desks. These are the collapsible, like into a big double foot locker. $145 for 4 of them is the base bid. Cots, Brenner adjustable medical beds, backpacks, bivy covers, fly-proof kitchen tent, okay? Now, anything and everything you can imagine is there at the auction, and this can be all over the country. Of course, in this case, it's Alabama, Indiana, Kansas, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Texas, Washington, Australia, Queensland, and Canada, Alberta, and Quebec. Yeah, your U.S. military is selling stuff up in Alberta, Canada, and in Queensland, Australia. We're occupying Australia to keep a boot on the Australian people's neck. We're there for a reason. By the way, there's Orc Gear, O-R-C. I'm not joking. Orc Industries. Oh, God, they truly are orcs, sir. Yes, I know. But in addition to that, one of the things, fly-proof kitchen tents, baseline bid, $25. These are complete, and they're in the transport chest. But it's a mix. You have to go through section by section, piece by piece. You can go by state. Example, I'm interested in more of the eastern part of the country. I don't plan on going out to Nevada or California, and I'm not interested. So the parts of the country that I want to look at, I go state by state, and then we look to see what it is that is available this time around. But it looks like there's a ton of e-tools. There's a whole bunch of backpacks. Not excited about those because, again, they're in multi-scam. If they're in multi-scam, they seem to think they're made out of gold, but the price is basically unobtainium. In other words, they're not worth it. So shop around and find out what else might be there. One of the things you're going to see is what they call resource center bags. These are resource center pods. What these are everything, and I mentioned these, they're everything Molly in one kit to outfit a man. But it's like enough to do almost like 2 or 3 people per bag. Maybe it's actually set up to be that way, but it's just there's so much extra in every variable pouch you can imagine, plus carriers. It's everything that you need to outfit a person for each bundle, and then some, so you can actually do 2. Base bid $150. I've noticed these have been going. There's 2 resource center individual kits per bundle, per pallet, and they've been averaging anywhere from $200 to $300 for 2. You have to take a look at that. There's all kinds of photo essays. By the way, you don't have to guess on this stuff. There's plenty of pictures. Now, I'm pointing it that way because we're also trying to find better prices and more stuff that is useful. To do that, you need to get out there and, again, go through the page, one block at a time, one line at a time, and look to see if there's anything that's useful for your purposes that's there. Water, there's camelbacks, mag pouches, shelter kits, sleeping gear, self-inflating sleeping pads. It's a little bit of everything, and then some. The other thing here is, for a lot of you, I will remind you that it's not always consistent. This is surplus. So it's not only always consistent what will be there from one auction to the next. It always varies. It's always, it's flexible. So when you're looking at this stuff, understand that you're going to run into a lot of different gear over a period of time. One of the things that's happening is the Air Force junk. The Air Force Tiger Stripe Digital is coming out now in force. And some of that they believe must be worth platinum / gold, and others, they not so much. The high-price stuff doesn't really move. Doesn't move that fast. Doesn't move any higher than the extreme price. I don't know who's buying it. I don't care. I'm not paying that kind of money for what are basically high-mileage items that they're serviceable, but they originally were supposed to be, like bargain basement. There are some bargain basement arrangements. Example, 125 BA Molly fighting load carriers for $100. Now, this is a bid. You're still going to have to bid on this stuff. That's a base bid. But most of this stuff, there's only been as little as 2 or 3 or 4 bidders, some with as high as 8, but even then, the bid increments have been $5, and people are not spending money hand over fist here. So this is a good location to keep an eye on. Now, somebody's asked me, they sell Humvees. Yeah, and if you want one, they're not cheap. If it was a choice, the Stewart trucks, although they've been running high also. The cab-over-engine Stewart trucks are pricey, but there have been some that have shown up for a decent price that are, turn the key, so to speak, turn the ignition switch and drive away. There are a number of decent vehicles. In the Humvees, if it's choice between the Stewart truck and a Hummer, I'd take the Stewart truck any day for the money, because it's about the same price, but you're getting a lot more vehicle, and you can do everything with it. Everything you want with the Stewart, you'd be doing with the Humvee. Actually, you could do more, because anytime you want to switch back to just being truck, you can be truck, okay? The Humvee is just grossly oversized. You get the same kind of width, but you don't have the capacity, the load, or the volume, and both of them are a nightmare for maintenance. So I'd rather have the nightmare for maintenance that's bigger, that I get more for my money, and it's kind of big and lunky, so it's easier to work on stuff because it's accessible and, big gauge, which is cool. That's what you want. Otherwise, another question here is like, do they have just Molly stuff? No. They also have U.S. Alice gear, Vietnam, foreign equipment. We've seen a lot of that from Texas. A lot of foreign gear showing up in our government auction from Texas, where the foreign troops are on the west side of the state. Yeah, we know about that. And Swedish, German, a lot of other equipment showing up in the auction system through Iron Planet and from the DOD. So how did that get there? Well, it's because the foreign troops are there, sir. That's why. So anyway, you find out some interesting things if you ask questions once you see something. Example, they had 3,000 Swedish military hats. Well, how the hell did they get those in Iron Planet through government disposal? Well, that's because they had several thousand Swedes in one of the facilities with the Germans, and as I asked them, they said, oh yeah, they traded out because they put them into American equipment, and they let them take the American stuff home with them because it was perishable, it was disposable. The stuff they put them in, they got from the DOD auction site, where they went over and they pulled what they needed, dressed the Swedes up in the American gear, and just shucked their original equipment and put it in the system because they didn't have any use for it, and they just sent it on down the road. So Shazam, Sergeant Carter, Shazam.
Well,
go ahead, caller, jump in there. Who do we have?
This is Fluffy. Just a question. Will they ship, or do you have to go get it?
Well, that's just it. They do have a shipping system. I'm trying to find out. I know they do box freight. They have done box freight. Somebody's told me that you may or may not trust that, but there are companies off-site that are linked up with them, where you actually have an independent, like a freight company that will come in. They've already got it palletized. They basically tape it off, and they'll pallet ship it out to you. So there's a couple different ways it can be done. That's one thing that DOD has had for a long time. It depended on the base and facility, so I'd have to find out more depending on where I'm bidding on something. I'd actually give them a call and say, hey, do you guys do pack ship, or do you do contract pack ship with somebody off-site, because that's done quite often. And then you find out. The example is you got Mechanicsburg, PA, you got stuff all through Georgia, you got stuff down in Texas, like I said, 3 or 4 facilities in Texas. We even have stuff in Illinois and Indiana, and on occasion stuff here in Michigan, but it's very, very limited. We don't see very, in fact, there's none right now that I know of. So again, you have to check with the facility to find out whether or not they do a pack ship or not. If they don't do a pack ship, they may do a contract ship, which is where the guys, like I said, comes in from outside, you give them a note, they pick the stuff up for you, put it on their truck, ship it to wherever it's got to go. So, and they do all of the final work on it. First they do the pickup, and then they do the, like if it needs to be plastic wrapped, or if they're going to rebox, re-pallet bin it for shipping so it's easier to ship on a truck. Most of these are ready to ship, or not all, but a lot of them are ready to ship on the truck because they are actually, in many cases, plastic wrapped or bound to the cargo pallet because they are volume. We're talking in some cases a lot of stuff here. So, but it's a pallet or 2 pallets. Sometimes it's just boxes. So it depends. A good question, though, and I'm going to find out more, especially, like I said, there are 3 locations on the East Coast. I didn't get an answer back from 2, so I have to call tomorrow. But I did get the one back, and they do basically a pick ship. So you tell them that where you want it to go. They actually have the information when you log into ironplanet.com, and then you just designate that the billing address is the ship address as usual, like when you deal with any other wholesalers or any of the other retail stores for that matter. And somebody else is asking, well, what about, how much will they ship? Well, it can be a little bit of anything, guys. No matter how big it is. Right now, 24 tent frame end sections. I just bid on them. Well, actually, I just locked on them. I'm going to bid on them when they come up. But it's, I would say, a pile probably equivalent to about 5 or 6 pallets worth of gear. I'd probably go pick it up. I'd have either one of our truck drivers would pick it up, or I'd go pick it up with one of our trucks. Reason, a lot of stuff, no sense in spending money on shipping. Might see something there I like while I'm there, too. God bless our republic.
Yep, the New World Order.
We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The empire is on the run.
And we are on the march, both day and night.
Iron Planet's expensive sometimes, other times not. Matter of the bid, guys. Go check it out, ironplanet.com. Then go over to the military auction and peruse through it. You'll see what I'm talking about. And again, they even have stuff in Hawaii, Australia, and Canada. Hawaii might as well be on the other side of the planet, and nobody bids on the stuff for obvious reasons. It's harder than hell to deal with the state of Hawaii. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow same time and take it over. And more Liberty Tree Radio coming up. God bless. Bye-bye.
It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Pay the price they're asking, boys, always pay the tyrant's fee. Never give up the struggle, boys, fight for the liberty tree. It's a tall